Hi, and thank you so much for popping by. My name is Dr. Bita Balozi. Do feel free to call me Dr. Balozi or Dr. Bowie. Now, in this clip, I'm going to be talking about another industry-based term. In a previous clip, I spoke about mineral-based industrialization and what that all means in the mining sector. In this clip, I'm talking about another term which is also closely associated to the mining sector, but is also in reference to production of vehicles. And in this case, we're talking about electric vehicles. So the term decarbonization itself means the idea of going green, right? The idea of companies reducing that carbon footprint in this earth. Companies are doing everything that they can, doing social responsibility initiatives to ensure that their projects, their businesses, their products are going to reduce the carbon emissions that go into the air, right? So that is what decarbonization means. Now, as I was exploring this term, I came across another story, and this particular article was for Voice of America. But Mqondisi Dube is a journalist who is based in Botswana, right? And the title of this article is Botswana Grants Canadian Firm License to Mine Manganese. Now, according to research, manganese is a critical mineral, an essential mineral that is absolutely needed, not only for the body, but it can also be used in the production of things like electric vehicles. It can be used in the production of cell phones. It can be used in the production of batteries, right? It can be used in production of solar panels and other parts of electric vehicles, right? So it makes sense that Botswana is not only producing electrical vehicles, that it also makes sense that while Botswana is producing the electric vehicles, Botswana is also mining this manganese in order to support the development of these vehicles or the production of these vehicles. And in the case of Botswana, the mining of magnesium, which I believe, although it is a 15-year contract, it has a lifespan of 57 years. So I think this is definitely also a boost in terms of employment. What this article says about manganese is that by becoming a key supplier of battery-grade manganese, Botswana can position itself as an important player in the renewable energy value chain, helping to power electric vehicles, the solar energy storage technologies, as well as other green technologies. But we think beyond extraction, it is going to be very important for us to focus on value addition as early as now. Remember, mineral-based industrialization is all about making sure that the communities that the extraction of these minerals is happening in are also benefiting from these mining projects, right? And this is also the emphasis in context to this manganese mine, which is now happening in Kanye, right? The key is to get this value addition as early as now. So they are trying very much not to repeat the same mistakes or the same oversights as before, right? So one of the key things that is really coming up with various articles that I've read about the electric vehicle is that, there's going to need to be incentives. This vehicle is going to need to be incentivized in order to increase its uptake in the African markets, because as per the producers and the developers of these vehicles, they are very aware that as they are pushing into the African market, because they are facing resistance in other markets, they have to consider incentivizing this vehicle in order to increase the potential it will have in the African region. Another thing that is interesting is the price of the electric vehicle, right? So according to this article that I'm reading, which was written by a South African journalist for Reuters newspaper, says that Reuters Online says that EVs will have a starting price of under 400,000 Rand or 22,500 US dollars. So the intention is to make sure that these vehicles are sold for a starting price of under 400,000 Rand. Let me see how much is 400,000 Rand in Botswana Pula, sorry. 400,000 Rands to Botswana Pula. So this car will have a starting price of roughly 300,000 Pula. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it still fits into the low income, right? I don't know if it still fits into the low income when we're talking about low income in Botswana or Africa. I don't know. But that's what they're planning. That is what they're planning. And like I said, the key word here is incentive. So I wonder what else will be incentivized apart from the price to make sure that this vehicle is absorbed in the African market. I can already see some of where the tensions are in this story, right? I can see where the power plays are in this story. This is definitely a story about East versus West, global North versus global South. I can see it here. So yeah, these are things that we navigate every day, right? So I just wanted to share what I could find, and definitely it looks like China, facing resistance in other markets, is now looking to the African market to say, hey, can you absorb the electric vehicle? And the African markets are saying, yes, perhaps we can. Yes, we can, but we are going to have to incentivize this vehicle for our low income earners in this African region to be able to afford to buy these cars, right? So the key word here is incentives, the right incentives. This is why I was also skeptical about this electric vehicle, because I was like, who's going to buy it? Do you know what I mean? Botswana, in the case of Botswana, 2.4 million people, low income. So who's buying this, right? So it looks like the producers or the manufacturers of this vehicle have already considered all of those aspects, and they've said the only way that this vehicle can really be absorbed into the markets in the African region is if the buyers are going to be incentivized, because they are already earning very lower incomes compared to other regions, right? Yeah, so this is a very interesting story. And as I said, these are just some of the conversations I'm having on this channel to make sure that we find those solutions to the problems that we are having in our communities, problems such as unemployment, and of course, in the bigger scope of things, making sure that we reduce our carbon emissions. Now, I'm also remembering that in a previous clip, the leaders in the African region were saying, we are not the ones who are making the biggest contribution to this carbon emissions, right? The leaders in Africa said this last year at the United Nations General Assembly, but companies such as Debswana are saying, whether it was we or not, the key thing is to make sure that we reduce the carbon emissions. The key thing is to make sure that we get into these decarbonization drives. And of course, as Debswana, it is making sure that it is leading the way as one of the biggest mining companies in the country. So yeah, these are all applaudable efforts. I think these are very socially responsible efforts. These are efforts that I absolutely stand by as well. Let me share some of these benefits of the electric vehicle. First and foremost, is the cleaner version of a car, right? It's the ones that release gas and diesel are absolutely the ones that are harming the air. These are the ones that are adding to the carbon emissions in the air. And of course, the production of these electric vehicles will also help add to reduce unemployment, right? I think unemployment is a key thing. So that's a lot of potential when we're talking about mining. That's a lot of potential when we're talking about long-term sustainable solutions to employment, in the hope that this 57 years will also help with adding more sustainable employment solutions to employment, right? So this is all very well and good. Anyway, this is all I found in terms of this idea of electric vehicles in the African market, this idea of decarbonization, and why Botswana is actually into this manganese mining. It's all making sense now. It's all coming together for me, having read all of this news coverage. I hope you were as informed as I was. And alrighty, my friend, thank you so much for popping by. I hope you're having a lovely day where you are. But most importantly, I hope you're having a healthy day wherever you're watching me from. Bye.